If you've ever wondered what the heck you actually said at the end of that party,
or wanted a do-over button for those cringeworthy encounters,
then you've experienced what we call the joy of awkwardness.
I'm Mendy.
And I'm Bree.
And we're here to celebrate the awkward.
Embrace the awkward.
And remind you of one important thing.
You may be awkward,
but you're definitely not alone.
Well, that was awkward. Hi, Mendy.
Hi, Bree.
Today, we are doing something new for the first time.
That's right.
And it's a little awkward.
We're in person.
We are in person. That is not awkward.
That is so exciting.
But we are recording video for the first time with like multi-camera action. We'll see if it works. If not, that'll be really awkward.
Yeah. What about all the things that we do when we're not on camera to self-soothe?
All right.
Yeah.
Like picking our noses.
Like picking our noses. None of that.
We can't do it. Or we can, and we just get to show other people the beauty of us picking our noses. Mendy, have you had any awkward moments this week?
Yes. So this actually builds upon our discussion of getting knocked or having to knock when you need to use a restroom, a public restroom.
Yeah.
So I needed to use the restroom in a little country store last week. And there was actually a sign on the door saying, please knock, the lock ain't too great. So I knocked and the person said, I'm in here. And I was like, okay. And I was waiting for a while, but I really had to go. And a man came out of the men's restroom and I noticed that that was a one-seater. So I was like, I'll just use the men's restroom. And I went in there, started using the restroom, and I could hear through the door and through the wall that someone else had come and needed to use the ladies' room. And they knocked. And the person who was in there, who was the same person that I had knocked, went absolutely ballistic. Started yelling. She was like, oh my God, I told you I'm in here. Can you wait a mother fligin' second?
Oh,
God,
you know what? We have a beep thing. Let me see if I can get it.
Oh, okay. Get ready to beep me, Bree. Are you ready on the new hot pink beeper?
I am.
All right. She was like, God damn you motherfucking, I told you I was in here. Just wait a mother flippin' second. And I was like, whoa, like she thought it was me double knocking. So I came out and I didn't see anyone waiting, but I also did not hear that woman ever left that stall. She may still be in there to this day, guarding it with her life. But that was a first. What about you, Bree?
I'm sorry for that moment for you, but I'm not really that sorry.
Well, we never had face contact. It could be somebody I know. Maybe it was Denise.
Oh.
I'm just kidding, Denise. Denise would never do that.
It wouldn't be Denise. She'd come up with much more clever words to say.
She would, and she'd tell us all about it later.
But I really enjoyed pushing the button to censor you. So
that is fun. Oh, I can sing now. No, we don't want our listeners to deal with all those beeps.
It was my birthday this week, so
I know. Happy birthday.
That's so awkward.
Yeah, it is.
I have a friend who, in fact, I had two friends.
Yay!
I had two friends who wrote to me specifically saying, we know that you really don't like big call-outs on your birthday. So this is not a happy birthday. It's just an I love you message.
Aww.
Both of them pretty much said that. And it was very sweet because birthdays are awkward. But I actually today had another kind of awkward moment, which is an interspecial awkward moment.
Oh.
Yeah. I was at home today setting up the new studio, and I heard this banging sound. Bang, bang, bang on the porch. And I got kind of irritated, and I said, come in, thinking that it was, I don't know what. I don't know who I was just letting in. I probably thought it was Melvin, the exterminator, but it kept banging, so I went out like in a huff and ran over to the door and opened the door. And Mendy, there was a hawk sitting on my porch. She wanted to come inside. She was knocking on the door, trying to come inside.
Wow.
I know. She was really beautiful. And she hung out on my porch with me for a good solid 45 minutes. Really extraordinary. A red-tailed hawk.
Did you text us that?
I did.
Oh, I missed that. I wondered why Denise sent us the thing about the hawk as an oracle.
Well,
It was beautiful.
I'm glad that you missed it so you got to hear the story.
Yeah, all right, I
fresh.
got to go back and check.
Anyway, so the awkwardness was that I was really angry with this human who ended up being like this gorgeous hawk who is injured. I called all the people I'm supposed to call, the Virginia Wildlife. I took a bunch of videos of her because she was just chilling with me on the porch. So I'm like, I'll take some videos and show them how she's moving. And they said, we think she's not that injured and that she's just a young hawk and just trying to figure things out. So
She's a young, awkward hawk trying to make friends.
so that was my interspecial awkward moment. That was also quite lovely.
That's amazing.
It really is. I just feel like there was a gift today,
Yeah.
you know, from an awkward bird. So, Mendy, I know that you have an awkward story for me today.
You do.
From a listener.
I do, which may or may not be interspecial. You will see.
Hmm.
And Bree, this week's story comes from Sebastian. And Sebastian, Bree, is our people. He is the man all mamas would like to raise, the guy that everyone would love to have as a friend. So his family raised him with Eastern spiritual values since he was very, very young. So think Buddhism, Hinduism, where service and giving back are a key to the spiritual practice. Bree, you've heard of karma yoga,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Can you tell our listeners what you know about karma yoga for people who may not know?
Sure, Mendy. So we know karma, right? Which is not so much a tit for tat, but that acts of service or doing good deeds come back to you, but it's just in like the goodness of life coming back to you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that
Yeah.
accurate? Would you say that's accurate? That's how I think of it.
Yes. And so karma yoga, there's many different paths of yoga, but for karma yoga, that act of goodness, the doing acts of kindness and goodness, that is the spiritual path.
The doing is the thing.
Yes.
Yes.
The doing
Beautiful.
is it, which was lovely. So that's how he was raised. And he was also an Eagle Scout, and he loved the outdoors bit, but even more, he loved, of course, the acts of service. Building benches for parks, cleaning up litter, hanging out with old people at the old people's home.
I love that.
Yeah. And he goes on to college. And like most of us, he wasn't sure exactly what he wanted to do, but he majors in international studies. And as graduation approached, he noticed that most of his fellow majors were taking that focus and spinning it into a career in business, like international business, or at least business school with eyes on international business
Money.
in the future. And he did not feel drawn to that at all. He said, and I quote, "The only thing I was clear about was my spiritual life. I wanted to do something that aligned with my core beliefs. If I can try to be of service or help to do something bigger than myself, I'll be fine. It'll all work out."
You're right. He is our people.
That's some really great advice for people who aren't sure exactly what career path to follow. That is a wonderful place to start.
Can I do a quick side convo here, Mendy, that we may cut out?
Yeah.
Recently, I saw an article looking at parental values that are being passed down to children. And back in the 50s and 60s and maybe even 70s and before, parents, when they said, "What do you want for your children?" they said, "We want them to have a sense of family, a sense of community, a sense of spirituality, strong relationships," right?
Yeah.
Now, what parents say they want for their kids and what they're passing down to their kids is a career, stability, money,
Yeah. Security.
security. But it's so fascinating
Right.
to me. And I was just curious about it and curious about, do we have that happen more in times of instability? Anyway, I really am glad that there are people like Sebastian out there who are perpetuating that desire for deep connection.
Yeah. It's super heartwarming. So before graduation, he gets on Craigslist looking for anything that's in the nonprofit and service sector. And he applies for and he lands an entry-level database manager job for the local food bank. And his office, Bree, is in this tiny little closet at the food bank. And he sees every day firsthand people coming and going. And he puts his heart and his soul into his work every single day. And he eventually becomes a boots on the ground client services specialist. And they help those in need access food bank services. They provide them information. They conduct needs assessments, and they also connect them to other agencies as needed.
Cool. So he's working with the people.
Yes. And eventually he becomes the executive director of the food bank in his city.
He worked his way up.
Yes. And at the same time, while he's in this executive director position, he is still putting boots on the ground and connecting in the community. And when a project comes up at work, even though he's managing teams of employees, if someone can't do the job, he's the one who's going to volunteer.
Yeah. He's the person I want to volunteer.
Exactly.
I bet he's really good at it.
Yes. And he's like this in his personal life, too. He still visits his parents regularly. He's the guy that helps you move, even if it's 2 years in a row. He teaches yoga for free. He said, quote, "Equanimity is important to me. So in interacting with people, that to me is serving. How can I serve? Can I be a positive influence? How can I maintain peace?"
He should be the next Bachelor.
Well, Bree, you are not the first one to have thought of that, because he did say that this genuine love of humanity and genuine interest in other people has its drawbacks sometimes. He loves talking to people and interacting with them, and hopeful lovers have taken that to mean that he's flirting. When he's really just being a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens. I treasure my male friendships so much, especially since I love playing video games and tooting. And it's been super disappointing to lose a male friend because they only had penetration in mind.
Ew.
I know, it's so gross.
That's
I hate
really
it.
awkward.
I know, it's so awkward. But also, Sebastian is in a band.
Good God.
Yes.
He's perfect. Well, wait a minute. What kind of band?
A totally sweet and awesome band, of course, but not like poppy music. They do have modern technology and beats, but it's lighthearted and groovy and soulful, and it's based on the Bhakti Yoga Kirtan tradition, divine vibes, soul music for the soul. And their name, Bree, is the Bhakti Boys.
Hey, Mendy, what is Bhakti Yoga?
Bhakti Yoga, so Karma Yoga is the yoga of service. The path to fulfillment is through service. Bhakti Yoga is the path of loving devotion. So their music is loving and groovy.
Everything that you're telling me makes it more and more amazing.
Yes. And on the day of his epic awkward encounter, his band had just played a gig at a community festival way out in the boondocks, in the country. The country is what they call it in Jamaica. Bree, you know what it's like to live way out in the country, right?
Oh my God, I do know what it's like to live way out in the country.
What do you remember most about living way out in the country?
Oh my gosh. So I grew up in a town that had one stop sign at the railroad track. And there was one store, Mendy. If the store hadn't been there, there wouldn't have been a post office. The post office was a trailer right next to the store.
It would have just rolled away.
And the store was the gas station, which was also the video store, the restaurant, because it was the Henry Grok and Grill, Grocery and Grill.
Oh, I get it.
And also happened to be where I took piano lessons.
Wow.
I took piano lessons at a gas station. That is country.
That's oh my God.
It was not bougie at all.
No, I know it's not bougie. It sounds like a Costco where you could go and get everything, except you only get a little bit of everything.
Pop Rocks and Little Debbie Swiss rolls. That's what I remember about the Henry.
Yeah, I agree. As you know, I grew up in the country too. We had 3 TV channels, 1 radio station. We would listen to the CB radio because it was more entertaining, so we could see what the neighbors were up to.
Did you have a CB handle?
I did not have a CB handle, but I used to get in my grandpa's Jeep and get on the CB and talk to truckers in a real country voice like this, like a man. And I got, in trouble a couple times for that. I was trying to be like Smokey and the Bandit. So anyway, they are out in the country at this festival. The concert's over. People are standing around afterwards, socializing. It's been a lovely gig, but the band has traveled a couple of hours, so they want to head back home. So they're packing everything up, loading it into their cars. And this is summertime. It's super hot. And a local neighbor had lent the band their fan to help them stay cool while they were playing. So Sebastian just heads off to return it.
Yeah.
through the woods to this person's house. And he doesn't tell anyone he's left because he's expecting to just be right back. But after dropping off the fan, our super sweet hero hears a scream in the distance. Help! He freezes. Did he really hear someone scream for help? He waits for about 3 minutes, he said, and he's about to keep making his way back when he hears it again. Help! He's like, maybe that's just kids playing or someone laughing. Surely this isn't happening. Maybe it's just quaint country folk yelling, yeah. He's not sure what to do or to believe his ears when he hears it again. And it is clearly help.
Oh my God.
So he's like, what if they're not okay? So he yells into the woods, are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Oh, Mendy.
Then, help! He's like, I'm going to step up. Of course he is, right? He's Sebastian.
Of course. Super Sebastian.
Super Sebastian. Maybe this person is having a mental breakdown and there's no cell service out there to call 911. And sure, that neighbor's house is a few hundred yards behind him and they have a phone, but there's really limited emergency services out there. It could take them 45 minutes to get to the person and then an hour to get to a major hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So he sees a young strapping lad lingering at the edge of the dispersing concert crowd and he runs over to him, complete stranger, and he grabs him by the arm. And the dude's like, great show, man. He's like, thank you. Come with me. And he pulls the guy to the edge of the woods with him and he says, listen.
Can you imagine what it would be like to go to a concert and then have one of the musicians be like, hey, come to the edge of the woods with me?
I'd be like, maybe he's taking me over there to like hear the inspiration for his next song. So of course the guy's like, sure. They stand there a couple of minutes and they both hear the cry of help coming from deep in the woods. And Sebastian's like, did you hear that? And the guy's like, oh my God.
I bet he was.
Yeah. Sebastian says, we have to help them.
Yeah. So here he is with a strapping young man.
Yes, specifically chosen because he was able-bodied and strong or looked strong. And he's like, if this person is being attacked, I'm going to need some backup.
Or is trapped under a log, right? That
Yes.
you might need somebody strong to help lift it up or something if somebody got stuck.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so what do they do? What happened?
Well, he sees his band packing up. They're lugging all this gear. They're looking around for him, but he's got no time to waste.
So did he tell anybody? Did he tell the band?
No, he didn't want to waste any time. He didn't tell anyone, any of the people that were there. And I asked him why, and he said, I didn't want to burden anyone. And he still wasn't completely accepting what was happening. You know those moments when something really big happens and it's really just hard to believe it?
Totally. When you're in a panic, you get kind of tunnel vision. So you're not thinking logically or rationally about all of the different scenarios. So you just sort of tunnel down to one thing. And that one thing, for him, it sounds like it was just getting this strapping young man and going to help the person who was calling for help.
Yes, that's right. With this adrenaline pumping and everything, right?
Yeah.
So he hops in his car and his sidekick, we'll call him Robin, takes shotgun. And they roll down the windows and drive super slowly down this skinny gravel dust road that leads into the depths of the woods with their heads hanging out the window, trying to locate the origin of the sound. Help! They're getting closer. Sebastian is remembering his Boy Scout skills. He remembers his first aid. He thinks, I could make a hell of a tourniquet out of this guitar strap. They're looking deep into the woods as they're creeping along, seeing if they see any signs of life. Help! They're getting closer. He has doubts. What if this is something we cannot handle? Bree, is there any situation that you absolutely could not handle coming across in the woods?
Yeah.
What?
Pretty much any situation in the woods.
I agree. Spiders, people, snakes,
Roots.
twigs.
Mm-hmm. Any random sound in the dark, in the woods? Absolutely. Yep.
Lack of comfortable seating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I totally agree.
For two country girls, we do like our creature comforts.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've had enough of it. So, well, for Sebastian, it's a little different. The one thing he said he would not be able to handle would be freaky and consensual forest sex. So again, what if it is?
Like animals or like humans?
I think humans. I think hawks getting it on would be kind of sweet or magical.
One of my Facebook friends has been posting pictures of turtles having sex all week.
I have the same Facebook friend. Thank you. Keep it up, hot stuff. So again, he's like, if this is freaky consensual forest sex, maybe they are just saying, yep, but it's a different kind of yep.
Okay.
But they hear it again.
Yeah.
And it's definitely
Help.
help.
Okay.
Help. The road ends. They hop out. They start running through the woods toward this poor, stranded, injured, distressed person. And Robin huffs, you know there are bears around here, right?
Oh, no.
And Sebastian knows what to do. Do you know what to do,
I
Bree?
do. Make as much noise as you possibly can.
That's right. Sebastian says, let's make some noise. And they start yelling and making a total racket to scare the bear or pervert away while they're running. Bree, have you ever actually scared off a bear or a pervert?
Yes, I have scared off both.
Tell me about the pervert.
The pervert was in New York, a different kind of wild place. And I had gone to an audition in this building on the Lower East Side. When I went in, this guy was kind of jeering. He followed me into the building, and I got in the elevator and I went up. I came back down and he was still there. I got out of the elevator and he grabbed me by the legs and I punched him. He's the only person I've ever punched in my life.
That is terrifying.
I punched him. I hit him in the temple. He passed out. I don't think I was really that tough. I think I just got lucky with a hit and he was just far enough gone that he just sort of flopped over.
That's terrifying. I've hit a pervert too. I was the baton twirler in my high school marching band, and we were marching in a parade in Petersburg, Virginia. And a guy came up and started dancing in a sexual manner on me. So I swung my baton out and I hit him in his wiener. And he doubled over and the whole crowd started cheering and clapping. It was awesome.
That is brilliant.
Well, I had a weapon.
I love it.
They are still heading towards the sound, which even closer sounds like bloody murder. When they come to a house, they race across the backyard yelling.
Hold on. Mendy, I just want to make sure this is an awkward moment and not true crime. Right?
This is. Yes.
Okay.
I promise.
I keep telling myself that as you're telling me this story. I feel okay.
Yeah, we're
Keep
not going to do any awkward moments that are like, and then he tripped on a severed head. Oh, that was awkward.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Don't worry.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was feeling my heart really starting to race, and I don't like that feeling. So tell me what happened next.
All right. They race across the backyard of this house yelling that they are almost to them when the back door of the house opens and an old man comes out.
Is it a pervert?
We shall see. Evening, he hollers. Sebastian and Robin stop. The man looks tired and, curiously, kind of bored. Not at all concerned by the two dudes running through his yard screaming. Absolutely nonplussed.
That's such a good word.
It is a good word.
Nonplussed is like, it's a lot like, what was the word that we had a few episodes ago that we were talking?
Disgruntled.
Disgruntled. It sounds like it's the wrong definition for the word.
Right, because like when I think of, it sounds like if something gets on your nerves, you should be plussed.
Absolutely. You're definitely plus.
Because it sounds like plucked and cuss mixed.
I know.
You plucked my nerve and I'm going to cuss at you. I'm plussed.
Right.
Right?
But no.
But
it's
doesn't.
the opposite.
I mean, it's the opposite.
Okay, so he was not nonplussed.
He was not nonplussed. And Sebastian stops and goes, "Do you hear that person screaming for help?" And the old man replies, "Yep, that's Sheila."
What?
Yeah, that's what they said too. They're like, "What?" "Yep, this shit happens all the time. Sheila is my neighbor's goat." Bree.
Oh!
They were trying to rescue a goat the whole time.
Well, that was awkward.
So what did they do?
Well, the man waves and heads back into his house to finish watching Jeopardy reruns. They, of course, breathed a sigh of relief, and they laughed, and they crept out of that guy's backyard and back to the car. Sebastian gets to the concert area, and besides a few vendors, everyone has left, except also his bandmates, who have finished taking down and packing up all the equipment by themselves and are like, "Dude, why'd you dip?" So he explains the whole story. They have a good laugh, and of course, they're not mad. They're the Bhakti boys.
So, Mendy, what happened next?
Well, he went home and Googled goats screaming on YouTube for one. And he made sure that that was a happy goat sound, which it was. But he does remain concerned for the neighbor who has to live with that constant bleeding.
Oh my God, I bet. Does he have any advice for us?
Yes, his advice is that even though he was running off to save a perfectly happy goat, he still highly recommends that you bring someone along with you when you go off to save the day. So
That's a good move.
I'm going to do that too. How would you rate this one, Bree?
Oh gosh. I'm going to give it a 6 because, well, maybe it's a 7. It's growing. It's growing.
As we talk.
It is an 8.5
Oh.
because he dragged a stranger into the woods with him.
Oh, that's right.
Even if that's the bit of advice, that makes it pretty awkward. And then the band thinking that he left them, like he's just like, I don't feel like doing this work. That's pretty awkward.
I hate feeling that I've let people down. I hate that. But also I think of the guy coming out of his house. Like I see people like you all the time going to try to rescue this goat. I think it would be like a 7 for me for sure.
What would you do
Okay.
in this situation, Mendy?
So I have no problem burdening everyone with any information that I have. So I would have yelled to everyone, I hear someone screaming. And if I'd done that, somebody might have been like, oh yeah, that's Sheila. So it could have thwarted the whole expedition, right? So I would have yelled it, announced it to everyone from the stage. And if I did end up going to save this person, if someone didn't know that it was Sheila the goat, once I found out that it was a goat, I would follow all the way through. I would keep running until I found Sheila because I want to pet Sheila.
No.
I want to scratch her behind the little ears. What about you? What would you have done?
I would have let everybody know so that I wouldn't get in trouble for bailing. I don't want to be in trouble.
Just so you know, I would totally put all this stuff away, but I'm going to rescue someone. So just mark that down that that's where I am right now. And if you believe I've got the wrong priority, you're going to have to tell me about it later once I help this person.
Is it okay if I go rescue someone? Is it okay? Do I have permission to go rescue someone? That would be me.
Right.
Can your imaginary friend Dana, who gets you out of just about every situation, get you out of this one?
Oh, absolutely. So when the old man reveals to me that I'm running like an idiot after a goat, I would have said, that sounds exactly like my friend Dana when she's fighting with her boyfriend Dwayne. I'm just going to double check that it's not Dana. Just follow through. It's a confidence game. And then when I got back to the concert and told everyone that I had run off to save a goat, I would have repeated, but it sounded a whole lot like my friend Dana when she's fighting with Dwayne. Or actually, you know what? Let's make it sounds a whole lot like Dwayne when he's fighting with Dana. Yeah, that makes me feel a little better about it.
I think our listener would really be into the Bhakti Boys. Can we make sure that we put their information in our show notes?
Yes, absolutely. They're also Googleable and Facebookable and...
But how do you spell Bhakti?
Bhakti.
And boys.
Boyz.
Oh, boys.
Boys.
Boys. And hey, Bhakti Boys, we've got a song for you this time.
Yeah, if you want to remix this and drop it on your next album, we'd be totally down for that.
We'll be your backup singers. Your spiritual doo-wop girls.
Yeah, that's right.
Here we go. Sebastian, selfless, kind, and true.
Here's a scream, what should he do?
Through the woods, our hero flew.
Well, that was awkward when you don your hero cloak.
Remember to bring a sack of oats.
'Cause it just might be a screaming goat.
Help!
Dana, stop picking on Dwayne.
Well, that was awkward.
Mary.
And now we're going to send you off with the real heroes of this episode, the Bhakti Boys.
Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Gopala Devaki Nandana Gopala Gopala Devaki Nandana Gopala. Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radharamana Hari Govinda Jaya Radharamana Hari.
This has been an Awkward Sage production.